The last time I spoke to my mom, she kissed me on the forehead and said, "You don't have to be so strong all the time." I laughed like I always did, but after she passed in her sleep that night, I finally let myself cry in a way I never could with her. The last time I saw my mom, I was folding towels at her kitchen table. It was just a normal day. She had the windows open a little because she said the house needed to breathe. The breeze came in through the screen and made the curtains move like slow waves. Her little lemon-scented air freshener was still clipped to the vent, the one she always said made the place smell clean, not fake. She sat across from me with her tea, Earl Grey with way too much honey, and asked about my car. She always asked about my car. I told her it was fine. Then she asked if I'd eaten. I lied and said yes. She never believed me when I said that, but this time she didn't push. She looked tired. Not sick or anything, just old. I don't know how else to put it. She had this faraway look sometimes now, like her thoughts were somewhere I couldn't go. She still hummed to herself, mostly old songs from when I was a kid. That day it was "You're My Sunshine." She didn't sing the words, just the melody, soft under her breath. I told her about work, about how a customer got mad I wouldn't honor some expired coupon. She laughed the way she always did, with this short, sharp ha. And then said, "Sounds like something your father's side of the family would try." That was one of the last things she ever said that made me smile. When I was getting ready to go, I started gathering my stuff like always: keys, phone, wallet. I gave her the usual hug, kind of distracted, already thinking about the drive home. But then she reached out and touched my wrist. I remember that part clearly. Her fingers were cold. "Wait," she said. I turned around, confused. She stood up, stepped close, and kissed my forehead. She hadn't done that in years. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "You don't have to be so strong all the time." I didn't know what to say. I laughed. Just a little awkward, like I didn't know what else to do. "Yeah, okay," I said, like it was a joke. She gave this small nod and said, "Drive safe." And that was it. That night, I got the call at 2:34 a.m. It was my aunt. I let it ring twice before I answered. I already knew. You don't get calls at that time unless something bad has happened. She passed, my aunt said, in her sleep. Peaceful. I didn't say anything. I just stared at the floor. I got dressed, drove to her house, and sat in the driveway for almost an hour. I couldn't go inside yet. I couldn't see her like that. I kept replaying her voice in my head. "You don't have to be so strong all the time." I don't think she said it for me. I think she said it for herself, too. She'd always leaned on me more than I ever let on. After my dad left, I was 12 and suddenly the one fixing things around the house. Holding her while she cried in the bathroom. Pretending not to hear the arguments she had with herself late at night. I was always strong. Always calm. Always fine. And I think that's what broke me that night. Alone in my room after I came back home, I let it go. I cried harder than I ever have. I didn't try to hold it in. I didn't try to be okay. I let myself fall apart. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't have to pretend anymore. She wasn't there to need me. But that didn't make it easier. After the funeral, I stayed in her house for a while. Not because I wanted to, but because someone had to. There were papers to sort, bills to cancel, old clothes to box up. My aunt said she could help, but she had her own life, her own grief. And truthfully, I didn't want help. I didn't want anyone there when I opened those drawers and found things that didn't belong to me, didn't make sense. It started with a letter, folded in the back of her recipe box, behind the card for her peach cobbler. It wasn't addressed to anyone. Just a lined notebook sheet, torn at the edge, written in her handwriting. It said, "If something ever happens, tell them the truth." I tried my best. I didn't mean to let it get this far. I read it 3 times before I put it back where I found it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through the house like a ghost. Every room held some memory I wasn't ready for. Her scent was still on the pillow. Her shoes were still by the back door. Then I found the box in the hallway closet. It was marked old photos. I figure it was baby pictures or school stuff. But inside were envelopes.
Dozens of them.
Some opened. Some still sealed. Most were bills. Final notices. Collection letters. But some were stranger, legal documents I didn't understand. Letters from a name I didn't recognize. Dr. Matthew Klein, family counselor. That was the first time I realized there were things I didn't know about her. About us. The next day, I went to the address on one of the envelopes. It was a small brick building in a quiet part of town. The kind of place you'd never notice unless you were looking for it. I asked the receptionist if Dr. Klein still worked there. She said he retired last year. But I remember her, she said, looking at the name on the letter. Your mom came here every Wednesday. For years. I asked why. She never said much, the woman replied. But she always looked tired when she left. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just dealing with regular stress. She was carrying something. Something big enough to talk about with a stranger once a week. For years. When I got back to the house, I started looking deeper. I tore the place apart, to be honest. Not out of anger, more like desperation. I needed to know what she never told me. And that's when I found the tape. Not a digital file. A cassette tape. Labeled in black marker. For when you're ready. It was in a small wooden box under her bed. Along with it was a Walkman. I don't know why she still had one, but she did. And the batteries still worked. I sat on the edge of her bed, put the headphones on, and pressed play. Her voice came through, soft and shaky. If you're listening to this, I'm probably gone. And I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
There are things I never told you because I didn't know how. I was afraid they'd change the way you saw me. But maybe you need to know now. The tape clicked. The next part was quiet for a few seconds. I waited, heart pounding. Then she said it. And everything changed. You always thought your father left us, she said. That's what I let you believe. But the truth is, I told him to go. There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing, like she was trying not to cry. He didn't leave us for another woman. He left because of me. Because I told him I'd rather raise you alone than let him stay in this house the way he was. I froze. My whole childhood flashed in front of me like static. He never hit me, she continued. But he scared me. You didn't see it, but I did. The way he'd lose his temper. The way he'd drink, and then start shouting about things that didn't make sense. He never hurt you, but I saw the way you flinched when he raised his voice. I made him leave for your sake. And I never told you because I thought maybe you'd hate me for it. She sniffed, like she was wiping her nose. I thought if I kept it simple, if I let you think he just didn't want to be around, you'd stop asking questions. I thought protecting you meant keeping the pain to myself. But I see now that maybe I didn't do you any favors. I made you carry strength you didn't ask for. Then her voice cracked. I watched you grow up trying to be the adult in every room. I watched you hold your breath through holidays, through job losses, through breakups. I saw how hard you worked to make everything okay for me. And I let you. Because I didn't know how else to survive. Another pause. But I knew you weren't okay. I saw it in your eyes. You always smiled like it was a duty, like it was your job to keep everyone else from breaking. There was static again. Then just a few more words. If I could go back, I'd do it differently. I'd let you cry more. I'd stop pretending I had all the answers. I'd tell you every day that it's not your job to hold everything together.
Click.
The tape ended. I sat there for a long time. Not crying. Not moving.
Just sitting with it.
That night, I didn't go back to my own apartment. I couldn't. I slept in her bed, on top of the covers, staring at the ceiling, trying to fit this new version of her into my old memories. Trying to understand how many times she must have wanted to tell me the truth and just didn't. The next morning, I checked the old voicemail on her landline. There were a few junk messages. A reminder about a dentist appointment. And then one from a man's voice I didn't recognize. This is Matthew Klein. I know I shouldn't be calling here, but I found out what happened. I just wanted to say she was one of the bravest people I ever met. She loved you more than life. She said that every session, that everything she did for you. Then He added something strange. If you ever want to talk, or if you're ready to hear the full story, I kept her file. It's yours if you want it. Her file?
I didn't know what to do with that.
I haven't called him yet, but I wrote the number down. And every day since, I've looked at it and wondered what else she never told me. It took me a week to work up the nerve to call him. Dr. Klein sounded older than I expected. His voice was slower now, like someone who'd stopped rushing a long time ago. When I said who I was, there was a pause. Then he said, "I was hoping you'd call." We met the next day in a coffee shop downtown. He brought a folder with him. A thick one. He slid it across the table, but didn't open it right away. She was in more pain than she let on, he said. Not just physical, emotional. She carried guilt like it was part of her spine. I nodded. I'd started to feel it too lately. She told me something near the end, he said. Something I wasn't sure I should tell you, but she wanted you to have it. He opened the folder, pulled out a single sheet of paper, and handed it to me. It was a printout of an email, dated 3 years ago, from me, except I'd never written it. It was an email she sent to herself, using an account under my name. The subject line said, "If I could say this out loud." The body read, "Mom, I'm not okay.
I'm tired. I'm angry.
I miss Dad, and I hate that I do. I feel like I'm stuck being this strong person for everyone, and I don't know how to stop. I don't even know who I am without it. And I think I resent you for needing me to be that." I stared at the screen print, reading it over and over.
She wrote that?
I asked. Dr. Klein nodded. It was part of an exercise. I asked her to write what she thought you might say, if you could let your guard down. It hit me like a punch, because she was right. Almost every word. She never wanted you to see it, he added. But at the end, she changed her mind. That night, I found myself standing in her kitchen again. Same lemon scent in the vents. Same humming in my head. Only this time, I imagined her not as my mom, but as a woman. One who was scared. One who gave up more than I ever realized. One who kept rewriting the story just to keep me from caring more than I already did. And suddenly, I remembered something strange. Years ago, maybe 5, maybe more, I came home late from a shift and found her asleep at the kitchen table. She had her head on her arms, an empty wine glass next to her, a notebook open with just one line written over and over. "I'm sorry I need so much from you." I'd closed the notebook, pretended I hadn't seen it, but I had. I just didn't want to believe what it meant. Now, standing there again, I wished I'd said something. Anything. Because maybe if I had, we would have stopped pretending sooner. I still haven't deleted that email she wrote in my name. I keep it folded in my wallet, like maybe one day I'll be brave enough to write her back. Some nights, I catch myself reaching for my phone to call her, just out of habit, and then I remember. And I just sit there holding it, feeling like a kid again. She told me I didn't have to be so strong all the time. But now that she's gone, I don't even know who I am without it.